Hey guys, it's Chris you're seeing here back from CNH Small again for another informative review video. This one deals with another customer machine here we had this past week. The customer wanted the regular season changeover tune-up, we were going to call it out there for that. And he has a Cub Cadet 2146 that you see on the lower portion of your body under, I should say, the engine cover assembly, as they call it under for that. And this is a Cub Cadet Series 2000 shaft drive machine. I believe this one was made probably back in I think the early 2000s, because it's very similar to one I personally have over here, and the one we have it's about a 2005, I believe. And the thing about this one is he has the rear bagger assembly attaching on there as well too. It's an optional we want to call it kit they had from the factory. You can buy it like separately, or you can have it come directly from the factory as it is right there for that. And I just want to show people what these things actually look like from a setup standpoint for that as well too. You have a big black tube on here for that, plus you have your bungee cord down to hold the assembly together in there as well too. And you also have your rear bagger assembly back here as well too. The rear bagger assembly actually has its own specific model number as well too. You can see the tag right down there as well too, as the model number designation 19305-100 for the actual model number of the whole assembly back there for that. Plus you have to buy the bracket group they have in the back here as well too for that. And you have a 2 bushel, I should say, I don't know if it's a bushel size, but they do have 2 bagger assemblies in the back here as well too that fit up underneath the assembly as well. Plus you have a we want to call a window in the back too, but those windows are basically useless, in my personal opinion. They don't provide a good picture, to say the least, right there for that, because if you're out there sucking up a lot of grass and you get a lot of dust in your bagger, they basically go dark brown, like light brown. You can't really see into them at all there for that. And on the other side here, you notice it says shaft drive on it. These are shaft driving machines, right back to your transmission unit as well too, so there's no belts, pulleys, or any other crap that might be breaking down for that as well too. There are hydrostatic transmissions on there as well for that. And the thing about these decks is you can basically take these decks off, and I'd say about under 1 minute right there. I shit you not, but you can take the deck off in under 1 minute if the deck is properly looped up where the pivot points are at, because we received quite a few of these machines over here, and I personally have this basically the same machine except for the engine on here. Basically the deck, you have a big swing arm right here, you can see it. You guys can see that right there. You have that big swing arm right there, plus you have 2 pivot spring-loaded joints in the back of the deck. So basically how the deck comes apart real quick is you just open up that swing arm and you drop the deck all the way down, and you basically pop the 2 pins out in the back, and you move it forward to the side, and the deck basically slides out in under a minute on there for that. So it's a very simplistic, I'd say it's an ingenious design in my personal opinion. That's why I had the same almost identical machine myself here. And here's the front end over the side. This one's getting the typical tune-up done right now here by us. We had to order some parts in, and unfortunately this machine has a we want to call it an oddball, odd duck engine on it. It's called a LINAMAR engine on here, and we do not stock these parts for this engine at all because of the type it has on it. And the oil filter for this machine, it's about 30, I think about 31, 32 bucks. Just the oil filter. The air filter is another 30 bucks. And you can only get them from a OEM retailer, because I could not locate a Stens or Stens equivalent, like a knockoff OEM part out there for that, to try to save some money for the customer. But just by having the oil filter and the air filter, you're running probably at least 60, I'd say about $3, $4 plus the inbound freight from wherever you buy it for the OEM parts that are for that, because of the actual engine they put on here. This is a LINAMAR overhead valve, vertical, or I should say horizontal shaft engine on here. I can get a better picture of this thing right here as well too for you guys. There's the manufacturer stamp, or stamp code, we want to call it. LINAMAR engine, LPP manufacturing. It's made in Canada, and this engine model number is ZX390-11317. And I believe it was made back in, I think 2002, I think, because this guy told me the thing's about like 14, 15 years old. I think the guy might be getting kind of senile, but that's what he basically told me it was. He said probably at least 14 years old, so I'm basically going on his reference of state, because sometimes these machines sit on a dealer's lot for maybe one season, because if they don't sell them all for the previous season, they just basically leave them on the same lot and just mark them down for the next season out there for that. Let me see what else you got here. You got a nice oil sensor on the actual oil sending unit right there as well too, for your I want to call it the actual fluid pressure. So at least the engine has some kind of a sensor to say like you have low oil pressure and stuff like that. It actually lights up on your dash as well too. And there's your oil filter, obviously. And these things are only made for LINAMARs. You can't buy any knockoffs, as I said before. They do take the typical standard fuel filter for the Kohler engine as well too. They do have a fuel pump on it as well up underneath the cover right here, so you can basically use the typical Kohler fuel filter you'd use in line for most other Kohler engines out there too, that meets the required specs for the micron filtration and stuff like that. And I'll give you a top-down view of this thing as well too. There's the air box as well too, guys, and there is the top of the engine overhead valve. There's your exhaust system going out the front down there, and you also have your electromagnetic clutch unit right down there behind that as well too. Dipstick over there, and the typical setup where you have your battery directly behind the engine as well too. And go to the other side here for you guys. And there's your starter. They have a Denso starter in here, which is a pretty good brand right there in my personal opinion. And there's the other side right here, the shaft driven 2146 machine right there for that. I think this this horsepower, this engine, I think around 14 or 15. I can't remember exactly what the spec book has, but that's usually what they are for a single cylinder horizontal shaft on most of these machines right there. We have a on my personal Cub Cadet Series 2000, we got a Kohler Command, and I think it's a 14 horsepower on our V-twin engine on there for that, but it runs a lot smoother than your typical single cylinder out there for that too. Plus you have two cylinders, which basically balance each other out, so the engine runs nice and smooth. And it's sort of like a car engine. The more cylinders you have, the more smoother your engine is going to run at it. Plus, it actually spreads the load out for two cylinders as opposed to simply one. So basically, if you get out a single cylinder, more than likely it might be actually using more gas than a typical two-cylinder out there for that. So that's basically the rundown for the Cub Cadet Series 2000 tractor we had over here this past week. We're still waiting on parts, as I said before, because I don't stock those parts at all for the engine at all, because the engine's brand the LINAMAR engine on here as well too. So if anybody has any questions, comments, whatnot about an engine similar to this or a machine similar to this, just email me here or leave me a message on my page, and I'll try to get back to you guys as soon as I possibly can. I'll see you guys and have a nice day.